The Xiaomi Note 5 Pro is a brand new entry in the mid-range segment, and I know this particular review is late to the party, but there are a few reasons this review is late. Reason being, I was waiting for the device's bootloader to be unlocked, and as you know, smartphone tutorials is all about flashing, rooting and modding your phone, so I wanted to make sure that my bootloader is unlocked. I can gauge the potential of how good a developer phone this device can be, and now that I have treble rocking on my Redmi Note 5 Pro, this is the right time to review this device, as I've been using it for more than a month and I've had a pretty good experience for the price that I've paid. Now before we begin, if you haven't already, please check out our latest giveaway. You stand a chance to win this very device here, and the bonus is this now has an unlocked bootloader, which is pretty difficult these days. Apart from that, if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that notification bell icon so that you get notified every time I upload a brand new video. And if motorbikes is your thing and new destinations and travel videos is something you like, here's a link to my second channel. Go ahead and subscribe there and stay tuned there as well. Now without further ado, hello awesome people, welcome to Smartphone Tutorials. My name is Kailash. Let's begin. Now, if you are someone who is used to the usual stuff like the 16:9 aspect ratio and having thick bezels on the top and the bottom of the phone, the moment you hold this device, you will notice that this device feels very tall. And the second thing that you notice is that the build quality is pretty great, because the use of metal, which Xiaomi has been doing for quite a while now. And the reason the phone feels tall is because, of course, it has a 18:9 aspect ratio and the so-called bezel-less design, I would say. But from the looks of it, the bezel-less design looks pretty solid. Apart from that, the 2.5D curved glass at the front and the smooth back ensures that the phone feels much more smooth than a device of this size ideally should. Now, apart from that, talking about the placement, well, if you want to know about the placements, you can definitely go ahead and check out my unboxing video. Here's a card to that. But nonetheless, here's a quick roundup of the placements of this particular device. Now, at the front, we have a 5.99-inch Full HD Plus display. Now that's a LCD display. At the top of the phone, you have an earpiece, a LED flash, a bunch of sensors, and the 20 megapixel selfie snapper. Moving on to the right, you have the power button and the volume up and the volume down key. And to the left, you have a SIM tray which can accommodate 2 SIM cards, or 1 SD and 1 SIM card. That's basically a hybrid SIM tray is what you have. At the bottom, you have the primary microphone, the speaker grill, and the charging and data syncing port. And a welcome addition which is not gone away from the budget devices so far is a 3.5mm jack. And if you look at the top, there's not much at the top. It's just a IR blaster, which is a welcome addition. I really appreciate the IR blaster being there. At times it proves to be very handy, and there's a secondary noise cancelling microphone. Now to the back, nothing much is going on. There are dual cameras, just reminiscent of the iPhone X, and a dual LED flash and a fingerprint scanner, which is crazy fast. Now let's talk about the first highlight of this phone. Now, something that I loved absolutely a lot about this phone, especially for 14,000 rupees, is this front display. Now, the display is absolutely gorgeous for the price that you guys are paying. This is basically a 5.99-inch Full HD Plus display, and that spread over 6.01 inches gives you a pretty good screen to body ratio, and the pixel density is not that low as well. So the sharpness is there, the color the color accuracy is pretty decent when it comes to a mid-ranger is what I would say. And watching movies and consuming content on this 18:9 aspect ratio is pretty nice as well. So for this price segment, this display has my thumbs up when it comes to the review. Now, while we talk about the display, why not just go ahead and talk about the processor or the chip inside as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is the first phone to come with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 636 processor, which comes with the same custom Kryo cores which were used in the Snapdragon 660. Now, the 660 is usually used in phones which are priced much higher compared to this budget-oriented device. And what Qualcomm has to say that the gains when it comes to previous mid-range devices should be at least 50%. While in day-to-day usage, I would not say I did feel that it is 50% faster, but what I would like to say here is that the phone definitely felt very snappy, very fast when compared to the Redmi Note 4 or the Redmi Note 5. You can consider that in gaming as well. if you want to know how well this phone games, here's a card to my gaming review of this particular device, and there are benchmark numbers included as well. And the phone manages to score 110,000, that's 1,10,002 points, which is pretty decent for a phone that is priced at 14,000 rupees with 4 GB of RAM. Now that we've covered the display and the processor inside, let's talk about the next very most obvious thing, is the software on this particular phone. Now it's a little sad to see that this phone runs MIUI 9. No, that is not the sad part. MIUI 9 is great, guys. The sad part is that this phone runs Android 7 Nougat out of the box, and it was launched around February 2018, and if you're launching a device in February 2018, Xiaomi, at least, you know, you can give us Android 8.0. But hey, there's a catch. As I said at the start of the video, Xiaomi have already released a beta ROM which is based on Android 8.1 and supports Project Treble. Now that's where we come into the picture. There'll be a lot of guides coming up, how to root this phone, how to install Magisk, how to, you know, unlock the bootloader, and how to install custom ROMs, because Project Trebles has, you know, made it very easy for custom ROMs to come over. Now coming back to MIUI 9, you know, everybody knows the features of MIUI 9. You have dual apps, app lock, second space, all that colorful user interface, and you know, the cards and stuff, multitasking, split screen and stuff like that. So everything is included, and MIUI 9 is a little on the heavier side. But here's what I would like to say, which you probably might have not heard in other reviews of this device. Now when I was using this particular phone on Android 7 Nougat, it felt a real sluggish, or you know, a little bit slow compared to how it should have been. But today morning I made my switch to Android 8.1 and MIUI 9 beta, and I can assure you guys, the moment you get that official update based on Android 8.1 which rocks MIUI 9, you guys will feel that you bought a brand new phone. That's how good MIUI 9 has been based on Android 8.1, especially when you talk about the custom ROM support and an unlocked bootloader. So MIUI 9, a thumbs up. Android 8.1, big thumbs up to you, Xiaomi, but a letdown when it comes to out-of-the-box support of software of Android Nougat. So now that we've got a few important things covered, we've got the display, the software, the hardware covered for this particular phone, the look and feel as well we've got covered. So next logical thing that we're going to talk about is, does the phone last? Does it last through a day? And yes, we are talking about the battery life and the charging options for this particular phone. Now, as all of you might know, this phone comes with a 4000 mAh battery, and the moment you hear the term 4000 mAh, you would jump on a conclusion stating that the battery life would be great. No. I'm not saying that the battery life is not great. Definitely it is great, and it easily manages to get me through a day's heavy usage with around 5 to 6 hours of screen on time. Now, the only reason I hesitated a little bit there was because the Redmi Note 4 didn't have a 18:9 display. That means it had a 5.5-inch display, and this one has a 5.99-inch display, and couple that with a different processor altogether, that leaves you with a few confusions. But then again, don't worry, if you are someone who's going to game for hours, you know, use your phone for work and stuff like that, this phone should easily get you through a day. One gripe though is the charger. It doesn't come with quick charge support at all. It's a basic 2-ampere charger, which would take around 2.5 to, you know, maybe 3 hours at time if you want to top up the battery. So what I was doing when I got the phone is that I used to overnight charge it, and I did not have any issues. But recently, maybe, you know, just yesterday, I got the Power Bank 2i, which supports Quick Charge 3.0, and what I noticed is that the moment I started charging my phone over with the quick charge power bank, it gave me a different charging indicator, and the phone did charge quite rapidly as well. Well, it's not dash charge speeds, but then again, it is definitely better speed. So when it comes to the battery backup and charging, if you can get a fast charger, and if you're a heavy user, this is a big thumbs up for this mid-range device. The battery is definitely very nice. Next up, let's talk about a few more things which are, you know, important, but we don't give them that much importance. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is the speaker. Now, the speaker here is, thank God, it is a bottom firing speaker, and it is pretty loud as well. In day-to-day usage, you will notice that your phone rings very loud, and if you're watching a movie and stuff like that, if you hold it like this, you would not have any issues. Talking about audio, the, you know, music output through the 3.5mm audio jack was pretty acceptable. Apart from this, talking about the earpiece, the cell reception, I did not have any issues at all. Now, with most of the things covered, let's talk about the main highlight of this phone, the cameras. Now the primary camera here is a 12 megapixel camera which comes with a f2.2 aperture and 1.25 micron size pixels, and the secondary camera here is basically a depth sensor that Xiaomi have used. So the secondary camera here, which is a depth sensor, has a f2.2 aperture with 1.125 micron size pixel. Now that was everything technical when it comes to the cameras. Let's talk real world usage and real world performance. Now the first thing to die for is the first thing that a lot of people talk about when it comes to the camera. Does it have portrait mode? Does it support portrait mode? Well, guess what? You've got portrait mode at the back and portrait mode at the front, but we will talk about them separately. Now when it comes to the portraits from the back camera, Xiaomi have improved quite a lot, and the edge detection is on point here. However, at times you might notice a few blemishes here and there, but then again the portrait mode is very natural, and you know, the blur, the background blur basically looks in place and it doesn't really look fake like, you know, some other phones, maybe the Honor 7X and stuff like that. Talking about the portrait mode on the front camera, now the front camera, basically a 20 megapixel shooter, uses artificial intelligence to do edge detection, and what I would say is, first impressions, I'm really impressed. From the front camera as well, the portraits work really well, and even on the beta ROM, which is basically Android 8.1 Oreo, the front portrait and the rear portrait is working. It's on point, and I'm really happy with the portraits here. But Xiaomi, yes, definitely you can do a much better job with edge detection, as you promised in the launch event. Now that was everything about portrait mode is what we spoke about, but then again, in general, when you click a normal picture using the rear snapper, the pictures are very good, and you know, the contrast and the color reproduction, everything is on point here. The dynamic range is pretty decent as well. However, the dynamic range does a really better job when you turn HDR mode on. Now what I found a little strange here is that HDR is there on the rear camera, but they don't have auto HDR, especially considering that auto HDR makes a lot of difference to the dynamic range of this particular phone. And the funny part here is that the front camera has auto HDR. Now that's, you know, for a beautifying reason or what, I really don't know. But then again, Xiaomi, if you're listening, it should be a software feature, and you can go ahead and maybe add auto HDR to the back camera as well. Now that was everything about good lighting conditions. What happens when you take it under low light? Well, the camera takes fairly decent pictures, but then again it's not that great because the phone does struggle when it comes to low light pictures. And I'm thinking this very well may be the same sensor that was used in the Mi A1. Overall, for a 14,000 phone, low light pictures are definitely good. They are not that grainy, or you know, they are not that bad. It does capture good images in low light as well, and considering Xiaomi was, you know, highlighting the low light performance of this phone, well, in that case, Xiaomi, trust me, you could do much better. Now, with everything about the back camera covered, let's move to the selfie game. Xiaomi have upped their selfie game, and they include a 20 megapixel selfie snapper. So the skin tone is on point, the pictures are good, the dynamic range is great, but at times the only issue that I experienced, which still exists in this 8.1 Oreo beta ROM, is that the images get overexposed at times, and you know, if I were to tap a different focus point, the exposure goes haywire. So yes, the selfie snapper is definitely a good improvement over the Note 4 or you know, any other previous Xiaomi device which was in this particular price range, but I think they could do better with the software update. And apart from this, you know, the front camera and rear camera, when it comes to clicking pictures under low light, under low light. So the front camera now has a LED flash. Now it doesn't really make a world of difference when it comes to selfies, but then again, it is a soft LED flash. So at first you might feel a little weird to use a front flash, but then again, once you get used to, the selfies are definitely better when it comes to the pitch dark environments where you would normally not be able to snap a selfie. So it's a handy addition, and I really give kudos to Xiaomi for adding a front LED snapper to this particular phone for this particular price segment. So that is the full review, guys, but a review is incomplete, at least in India, which is a very price sensitive market, without discussing the price. Now there are two things that I would like to discuss before I conclude this particular video. First one is the pricing, and I need to give it to Xiaomi for that. 14,000 rupees for a 464 variant and 17,000 rupees for the 664. yeah, if you want 2 gigs of RAM for 3,000 rupees, you can maybe go ahead and do that. But the 14,000 rupees device is absolutely great, and I really appreciate Xiaomi for bringing this device at this price to India with a ton of features. Now, the second thing that I'd like to talk about is flash sales. Now, flash sales were a problem, are still a problem, and Lake Blue, from the time I got this device, from the time this phone was launched, I want to get a Lake Blue version. I want to experience that phone. It looks stunning, and they have not released it for the last 1 month. It is not even coming in stock. So flash sale and lack of Lake Blue is something Xiaomi you could definitely improve upon. But overall, this is definitely a budget oriented super phone, a very good package for 14,000 rupees is what I would say. These are my thoughts of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5 Pro. Let me know in the comment section what do you think, and if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up and stay subscribed and hit that notification bell icon so that you get notified every time I upload a video. Once again guys, it was nice talking to you. Stay tuned for the next one. Goodbye, take care.